Welcome to Hot to Trot. This is not your normal horse racing podcast. My name's Ashley Eisenbeil.
And I'm Dawnelle, and we're your hosts for Hot to Trot. Welcome back to another episode of Hot to Trot. We're in the thick of summer here, and it's getting busy and busy. Ashley, what have you been up to, and how's Summer Valley so far?
Summer has been really busy between the racetrack events, kids being home from school, and like this atrocious heat wave has kind of just made everything miserable, I think, for everyone and like all the racetracks. And then personally, like my dogs don't even like going outside. So, I mean, it's been busy, but you know, nothing too out of hand other just being hot. And when I'm hot, I'm grumpy. But you've been busy. Tell us about, you had a little vacay already.
Yep, I went to Scotland to see Taylor Swift and then Italy for a week, and I came home right into the jump of it. I visited Prescow for a day. Now it's fair racing season, so that keeps us busy. I like fair time. I love fair food. So we just finished up with Butler Fair, Stoneboroughs this weekend. So if you guys want something fun to do, look at our events calendar and check out some fair harness racing, because we have racing everywhere. All 6 tracks are going. We're really busy.
Yeah, a lot of racing. We've been doing a lot of handicapping. So make sure you also look at our picks that we've been putting out a couple a week, doing our best, giving our best with the picks at the different racetracks. So check those out. I think we're doing all right. You hit the trifecta last night. So I had two exactas yesterday.
Yeah, we're giving out winners here and there, so it's worth taking a look at. We asked for that track's input too, like Patrick from Pimo Picks at Prescow sent some picks in. So just check out that social media, because we have a little bit from every track every week.
I have to circle back to Taylor Swift for a minute. Can you tell me like what was her best set of the concert? Because that concert was everywhere. Everybody was so excited. I saw it all over TikTok. Did she have like a best set that you liked the most?
Well, it depends what era you like. I think everyone's option is going to be different. I personally like Midnights because that's my favorite album, I would say. But then her surprise songs are good. So our surprise song was Crazier, which if you're my age and you watched the Hannah Montana movie, you died. So that was really good.
Oh, that's so cool.
But now here we are for Hot to Trot with 2 amazing guests. We have a jockey and a driver this time, Andrew Wolfsont, Dexter Dunn. So this is an exciting interview that you guys are going to enjoy.
Hope you guys enjoy it. Check it out. And also don't forget your Hot to Trot gear. We have that on the website, and we're also going to be bringing it out to the track. So if you want some t-shirts, we have them in stock. Just send us a message. Let us know. We'll mail them out to you. Let's get to this interview. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining Hot to Trot. We have Andrew Wolfsont and Dexter with us, and we are ready to talk about thoroughbred and harness racing here in PA with you guys. But first, I want to congratulate Andrew. He just got married recently. How was the wedding?
Congratulations. Thank you, Dexter. Wedding was great. Yeah, no, we had a great time. Had a lot of family and friends out. It was right in Lidditz, PA. Not too far away from where we used to live, and close to some family. It was pretty typical Pennsylvania barn wedding. It was a very nice barn. They had it all like done up, and it looked beautiful inside. But I feel like everyone that I talked to that's gotten married in rural PA, it's like, oh, did you get married in a barn? Yeah, of course. It's always some fancy barn, and it was great. We had a great time, and now I'm back into the swing of things, back to real life.
Did you go on a honeymoon?
No, not yet. So Parks, my main racetrack in Philadelphia, they go on break in August. And even though I would have opportunities to ride at different racetracks that are still going on at that time, my main commitments would be a little bit slower during that time since Parks is closed. So I'll be going to Portugal with Violet for 2 weeks. Yeah, can't wait.
Oh, nice.
Oh. Yeah. That will be so much fun. I've heard great things about Portugal. They have amazing food.
We both love seafood, and so it's going to be good. Can't wait.
We want pictures.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm sure it'll be photo dumping on Facebook almost every day.
I have a quick query while we're talking about food, Andrew, just to jump in real quick. How do you do with your weight being a jockey, I know it's a tough life for you guys, but like, you lightweight naturally, or do you have to, waist pretty hard?
No, I've been very fortunate. I'm a smaller jockey than most. I'm 5'1". Some days maybe only 5 foot, but whatever. I'm above there. I'm muscular, but I'm still short enough that my weight hasn't been a huge deal. But now that I'm 36 years old, it's definitely gotten a little bit harder for me to maintain a lower weight. So, I had to go on a diet recently, but instead I just bought a lighter saddle. So now I'm good. Yeah. So every now and then, I got to watch my weight. If I have a light race coming up, I might have to just be careful what I eat for a few days. Might go to the hot box or might go, for a run, something like that. But I'm a fortunate jockey where I don't have to go to the sauna for 3 hours straight before every race day, like some of these guys do.
Yeah, no, it must be a tough life for those jockeys, no doubt. They have to, waist pretty hard.
Yeah. No, for you, there's no weight limit, right?
No, there's no weight limit for us. We're very lucky that way. So, in saying that, though, you don't want to be ginormous, when you're racing horses. But, yeah, we can literally weigh whatever we want.
Right. And do you know if there is any advantage? Like if there's some really skinny guy that only weighs $130 racing against a guy who has about an equal horse who weighs $190, like what do you think?
I think there's different arguments to it. Some people say it doesn't really matter. The bikes we use on them, I think it's a lot of it's to do with momentum. Once the horse is moving, but for me personally, I know when I'm feeling tubby or not feeling good in the bike, I don't feel good. I don't feel like I'm doing my best. So for me, I like to be light. Not overweight or bloated or feel weighed down by a full stomach of food. So, it's different cases, but, the horse is still towing you. So I'm sure the less weight they tow them, the faster they can go.
Yeah.
That's my theory anyway.
Yeah. Just, to do our jobs, you still have to be at least a little bit of an athlete, even though the horse is the primary athlete. We can't be sluggish.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to be sluggish when you're out there. Yeah.
I loved that you used the word tubby.
All right, so as part of Hot to Trot, we like to get our viewers to know you guys a little bit. So Dexter, will you give us a little background, where you're from and when you moved over here and what made you want to move over here and become a driver?
Yeah, sure. So I'm from Christchurch, New Zealand. It's in the South Island, New Zealand, born and raised there. I was brought up in a horse family. My father, Robert, he's a trainer, and also my mother, Rose, she comes from a racing background too. So growing up as a kid, I didn't really have, apart from being an All Black rugby player, which is the main sport in New Zealand, I guess racing was always in my blood, and I always loved the horses. So I followed that path, and I raced over the 15, 16 seasons probably. I did a stint in Australia for a year and a half when I was 16, 17, and I come over here in 2011 for 3 months. I was representing New Zealand in the World Drivers' Championship, which was held here in the States. I was 21 years old. But I did 3 months before. We have a good family friend, another expat New Zealander, and Chris and Nicola Ryder. So I come and stay with them. Did a little bit of driving, did the World Drivers' Champs, and then went back home. But I always wanted to come and try my hand over here. And I think when I was growing up, when I was younger, before technology was, like it is now, that I used to see American racing. And to me, the drivers over here were sort of like Hollywood stars to me. And I always was sort of fascinated by the racing over here. So eventually I just decided to make the call. Also, things were going good for me in New Zealand, to move over and give it a shot. I thought I could always go back and go back into what I had in New Zealand or start again. But that was in, I think I've been here 6 years, next month, 6 years now. So it's been a good experience. It's been a lot of fun since I got here, and obviously I've been really lucky to drive a lot of good horses. Sit behind a lot of good horses since I moved over for good trainers. So yeah, it's been an experience.
Andrew, how did you kind of get into racing?
Well, I wasn't born into it. I have friends who have parents or brothers or, uncles who were jockeys or just trainers, whatever it might be. I just grew up near a racetrack, but I grew up very close to the best racetrack, in my opinion, Saratoga Racetrack. And as a kid, I was like 14, 15 years old, and I worked right in front of the racetrack selling newspapers. It was this thing, if you've ever been there, there's a bunch of young teenagers selling like the Saratogian pink sheet or the Times Union blue sheet, which is what I was selling, which is just a newspaper with this this tip sheet, you know, for like all the races. They have got a couple columnists who picked out their favorites, and we would just go around selling our newspaper and, you know, hawking it to whatever fans are coming into the racetrack. So I got my experience with Saratoga Racetrack just working in front of it. But, you know, I would see the racing fans, you know, I would, you know, see trainers and jockeys, and, you know, I would see the, you know, the allure of Saratoga Racetrack. It's a beautiful place. And I always, you know, thought about it because I'm small, but didn't have it in. And it wasn't until I came across this one jockey who, you know, of course he drove up in like some little sports car, and I'm talking to him for a minute as I was in between trying to sell newspapers. And I asked him how he got into it, you know, how old he was, because, you know, the back of my head is like, I can't do this, you know, later in life. Any professional basketball player, professional baseball player, they started when they were kids, and then they got really good. And then here's this professional jockey riding at Saratoga who said, oh, I didn't even start till I was 18 years old. Like right there, I was like, okay, cool. I'll just sit on it. Maybe one day. And lo and behold, after a year of college, still didn't know what I wanted to do. I said, yeah, screw it. I'll go to Saratoga Racetrack and try to become a jockey. And, you know, of course, they laughed at me and gave me a shank, which is just a leather strap with a metal chain to walk horses. And like, all right, you are now a hot walker. That's way down here. Maybe one day, instead of taking left-hand turns around the barn, you can take left-hand turns around the racetrack, which is way up here. So I went through the steps. A couple years later, I moved down to Ocala, Florida, learned how to gallop horses there. From there, I went to a jockey college. It was run by Chris McCarron at the time, and I went there for about a year and a half. And that was a great experience. Learned a lot more than just riding there. Learned all about the industry. Learned all about the intricacies of racing through a Hall of Fame jockey. And then I started my journey to become a jockey as an exercise rider at a few different racetracks, Santa Anita, Laurel, and, you know, I eventually rode my first race back in 2011, and I was horrible. And from there, I polished up a little bit, but then got an opportunity to move my tack to Pennsylvania at Penn National and won my very first race once I moved there, and haven't looked back since. Stayed at Penn National for a very long time and did very well there until I moved recently to Philadelphia Parks a few years ago. Then applying my craft there for the last few years and just riding all over the Mid-Atlantic.
So was there something about Pennsylvania Penn National that made you want to ride here, or is it just an opportunity came up and you took it?
You know, at the time, it was just an opportunity. It was a less competitive racetrack that I was also able to get a really good agent at. And I think that was the biggest allure, not necessarily the destination, the location rather, but, you know, having a really good agent as a jockey, as a flat jockey is huge. It's most of the game. Something I didn't really learn prior to becoming a jockey is just having that agent that has the connections, but also in my case, my first agent who I had for 7 years was also a really good coach. He rode for a few years before he became an agent, and his brother, who rode primarily at Penn National, he rode for like 25 years or something. And so both of his brothers were trainers who helped me out, but more than anything, having an agent who's obviously invested in my success, who used to be a rider, who coached his own brother and seen his own brother be a successful rider, that was huge. That was why I was so happy being where I was at, because that let me become a better rider. And also Penn National turned out to be a great location for me, because when I did get going and I was a better rider and I could compete elsewhere back in Maryland, where they kind of drove me out of, I was able to drive there during the day and then drive back to ride races at night, or Parks where I'm at now, or Monmouth, New York, wherever it might have been. And so it's just a really good central location for that.
It is. Dex, is
Good
it
story.
weird? Yeah, is it weird though for you? Because I know a lot of the harness, they don't have agents and the harness racing side of things. Like, do you think that's like a positive or that could help you guys out if your drivers had like agents to get the rides for you and organize that?
I mean, for me personally, I wish I did have an agent. It's not a thing here. I had an agent back in New Zealand for 10 years. It was massive for me. No one has one over here for us drivers, but I really do wish I had one. I think it would, some of the guys are good at them. They don't really need one. It's obviously different from you guys, Andrew, but I mean, I've been thinking about it lately, the last year or two about, getting one really, to be honest, because especially in the summertime, we race at so many different tracks and there's a lot of side stakes going on at the moment in different states that are conflicting. And, just having that, agent who can know what horses are going to be where on what day for what trainer and sort of give you a heads up of, because you're going to, you'll be at the track and the trainer comes up, are you going to be at, so I was at Saratoga on Monday, I think it was, Andrew. So are you going to be at Saratoga on Monday? My usual answer is I don't know, I have to get back to because I have to look at it, For me personally, I'll be like, just about pass on to my agent, or they just talk to my agent and make my life a lot easier. So something I'm still thinking about, I guess being the first one out of the box to have that sort is the thing. But yeah, definitely it's something I wish I had over here.
How much does that pay? I might be interested. I can be your agent, Dexter.
We'd have to talk about that, Dawnelle, but I'm sure if the price is right, we could be an option.
It was funny when we talked to Matt Kakele, he kind of, after he heard Martina talk about her agent, like he said, oh, that would be really nice if we had an agent. So we might start seeing agents popping up on the harness side for the drivers.
It wouldn't be a bad thing at all.
Dex, what made you decide to kind of make your base tracks be Harrah's and the Meadowlands when you came over here to the U.S.? New Jersey really is, the main base for a lot of the bigger stables on the East Coast. So, obviously the connection with Chris Ryder, I was saying earlier. So, when I first come over, this was, I think most of the majority of the leading Grand Circuit drivers are based here in New Jersey. It's where a lot of the babies start qualifying and racing, and it's sort of the place to be. So, based in New Jersey, and then obviously Meadowlands is the mecca for the racing out this side, and Chester was a track that a lot of my trainers that I drove for went to, and it was a great base as well. So. It was probably the only option I looked at. I didn't even look at any other options when first moving over here, and it has stayed here ever since. So, just to me seemed the place to be, place to try my hand. See if I could make it, bake it till I made it, or whatever you want. But seemed like the right option.
When you came over here, did you have to change your colors at all, or did you already have those colors established?
Yeah, so I in New Zealand we're a lot like the thoroughbred side. We don't have our own colours in New Zealand. We wear the trainers or the owners' jackets for every race. So when I came in 2011 for 3 months, I was just wearing the New Zealand colours that I was going to wear in the World Drivers' Championships. I didn't have my own colours at that stage, so I had to just come up with my own colours when I first came over, which I ended up changing after about 3 months into my time over here and to the colours I got now. So yeah, they were new designed. The Crandall Giddy, who I drove for 13 years back in New Zealand, his training colours in New Zealand are actually John Campbell's colours. So I wore them a lot of my career back home, and then from Christchurch in New Zealand, which is Canterbury, which I'm a massive rugby fan. Their colours are red and black. So red and black was always, my favourite uniform on a sports players, even on a sports team. So I sort of just combined those two sort of designs into the colours I have today.
Oh, did you like it better wearing the owner's trainer's colors, or do you like having your own set colors now?
No, I like it. I like having my own set colours. I mean, uh, say a race meeting back home in the middle of winter when it's pouring down rain and wet and muddy. If you drive for a trainer in race 6, in the 6th or 7th race, and he had one in the 5th that another driver wore in the rain and the mud, well, then you're putting that jacket on. You're already cold and wet yourself, and you're pulling on a covered in mud, wet, jacket to put on to race. So, I mean, definitely my own colours is I much prefer.
See, I keep saying I would be able to recognize jockeys so much quicker if they had their colors. I like harness racing for that. Like, you know that you're red and black. You know, Tetrick green and yellow. Like, it's easy to pick out the drivers that way.
Yeah, definitely.
That's cool. I've never even thought about that as an option. I've always thought of it like the owners, they pay so much money for these horses, so of course they want to be able to recognize their horse in a race. And I don't know, maybe it's partially because thoroughbred racing is just so fast, and you got a group of 12 horses. It might be difficult to pick out which one is yours unless you see the colors on the horse.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But it is the same way it's hard to pick out the jockey because they're always changing. And, a lot of people are also really big fans of the jockeys. So
Sure.
Your guys are on the horse, you're the athlete. You usually, look for the athlete's signature, number or their uniform. So we always bring it up. We know it's a hot, touchy subject, but I actually think it would be really cool if we could do some branding for the jockeys.
Maybe the jockeys could have their own hat cover.
Mm.
Their own design of a hat cover, where the owners or trainers silks and then have their own hat cover. So maybe if you were looking for that jockey, you could still pick out their hat cover, maybe. Could be an option.
I know a lot of jockeys who have much better fashion sense than I do that would be very upset with not, color coordinating with their silks
right, well,
and their hat, like that.
Yeah, this is true.
Well, that could be a problem. But we always like to raise the question and get everyone's opinions on what they think.
Yeah, fair enough.
The sport's ever evolving, next generation coming up, what are they going to be able to like and help our sports are complicated, be like easier to consume for them. So we raise questions.
I think with racing too, I think anything, racing can do just to keep up with the times is always a plus. I think there's nothing worse than getting stuck in the past of tradition and getting left behind. So, it's good to keep evolving and keep coming up with new ideas, I think, to keep making it fun and popular and, what people like.
Dexter, before this interview, I wanted to refresh my memory of just, harness racing. So I pulled up a couple YouTube videos of harness racing, and then I found out, they have, these, in the driver's seat. I forgot what the YouTube channel is, but, they had the camera set up on the harness facing the driver and the helmet cam. That was so cool because I was actually able to see what you're doing with the reins, how you're leaning, and then also your perspective when you're looking, straight, you're positioning your horse right between the wheels, you're going out, making sure you're clear, going around. And that was so cool for me to watch because, for me watching a wide pan of harness racing, it's actually pretty boring. No offense, but I'm going 40 miles per hour in tight packs. I'm bumping, I'm squeezing, and for what I see you guys doing, it's much slower and it's not as exciting. But seeing what you're actually doing in the cockpit or whatever it's called, the seat, the car, thank you. That was way more exciting to watch. So hopefully they can keep implementing that.
Gives you a new perspective, right? Of what we're dealing with out there, and it's the same with you guys. I like when they put the jockey, the helmet cams on you guys. Especially you guys, someone who come from the back and weave your way through and tight quarters as well. So, it gives you a good appreciation, I think, of, and it's always just like watching sports. It's always easy to judge on the couch, isn't it? Should have done this, should have done that, or whatever. Right. But, that's a good, gives you perspective of what you're dealing with out in the track, competing and being an athlete.
For sure. One thing that they started doing recently was incorporating drone footage into the race. Churchill and Delamar, they've been doing it almost every single race, or Santa Anita too. And it is so much better to be able to see where the jockeys are position wise, because when you're looking at that pan view or head on, you really can't see how close they are to the horse in front of them or really the path that they're taking. It's unless you've watched, thousands and thousands of races, you can't even tell how far off the rail they are when you're watching that pan view. But when you're watching that head on, or not head on, the overhead view that the drone footage is able to give, you can see the whole race unfolding from the jockey's kind of perspective, but also, where they are positioned in the pack and how much room that they have. And, when you're just a racing fan, you're like, oh, the jockey should have done this or should have done that. You watch that, you're like, oh no, they can't do any of that. They have to wait until there's room there, or they have to start early. Otherwise, they're never going to get there in time. All those things.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I'm a big fan of thoroughbred racing, actually. I still keep up, especially back home in New Zealand and Australia. I don't know if you keep up Australian, like the thoroughbreds back there, but it's huge, Yeah. And they've been doing that overhead, the drone shot for a few years. And, when they first started doing it, I couldn't believe, watch the sight on, you think of horses, you're right on the heels of the horse in front of it, and then they'll do that drone shot, and they have like 4 or 5 legs back behind them. But it's hard to tell, but you get that overhead, it's a great angle. It really opens up your eyes of what it's like out there.
Yeah, for sure. And, I love it just because you can really see how big that opening is. Say, for a thoroughbred jockey to split horses, you can see that opening and closing. And if you know anything about horses, they're not like race cars. You can't just step on the accelerator and expect that, 30 mile an hour to 45 mile an hour burst like that. No, it's like you got to get.
Quite often don't run in a straight line either.
Yeah, you got to ride your own horse. Yeah, you got some baby who's already doing this. Yeah, no, it's way more difficult than a lot of racing fans think it might be. But it's great to get those different perspectives for the sport. But are they starting to incorporate those cameras for like every individual driver where it's attached to the cart?
No, not every, but they'll just, I think on big nights, they'll pick, 2 or 3 drivers, or they'll change each race or whatever and put them on. Actually, out Dawnelle as well, Chris Gooden's a photographer out there, but he's been doing an amazing job at coming up with new stuff for different angles. And, some of them, like I was racing horse Bulldog Canada a couple of years ago, guys, they were putting like underneath the camera, underneath my seat, upside, well, not so down, but like hanging down from my bike, one on the shaft, one up by the saddle pad of the horse, one on my helmet. So there was like every different angle was covered. And
that's cool.
Hopefully they keep going with that, especially on the big days. Some of the tracks had the wire, the camera wire running down the side of you by the straight, but I mean, there's definitely room for it to keep opening up and keep getting better at it.
Yeah. This sounds like we should set up a match race. So a match race is you get in our double-seated jog carts, Andrew, and ride with the driver at one of the racetracks.
I think Andy would be fine driving his own horse.
All right.
Oh, yeah? All right, let's do it.
I think you'll be okay. Give you one practice lap.
One practice round, like whatever.
You don't need someone driving the horse for you. You better do it.
All right.
Just give me the wheels with like the old chariot racing with like the spikes on the end, so I can just like take out the other carts right and left.
Tim Tetrick and Frankie Pennington really hit it off on the podcast. We'll get them to come out, and Matt Kikali and Martina. Get all of our podcast guests out there.
I love
it.
Full field of us. Yeah.
So Dex, I got a question for you. Like, what is the hardest technical aspect of driving a race? For like, think of the grandma just who's taking her horse out in carriage, and she's doing simple stuff. Of course that takes technique, that takes ability, but then you're racing. Like there is a whole set of new techniques when you're leaning back and you're like really controlling this animal. I'm sure like the technique level is really high, even though for you, you're an elite athlete and you do it every day, so you probably don't think of it that much. But if you really think about it, like what is it that makes it so difficult that your average driver couldn't do what you do?
It's a good question. I think for one is keeping your horse relaxed. Probably, a lot of the horses, they're race horses. They know when they go on the racetrack with the race bikes on and see that gate, they're like, let's go. So, making sure that your horse is relaxed, especially the trotters, get them in that right rhythm.
Yeah.
Technically, there's another story because different size tracks, different draws. You got to deal with all that. But it probably sounds corny, but like connecting with the horse when you're out on that track, and there's a lot of little things you do. It's hard to always describe what you do when you sit in the bike because you just sort of go by your feel and what you naturally want to do with a horse. But because we drive trotters and paces, we've got to keep them from not making breaks. So especially trotters, you want to keep them, in their trotting action. And sometimes with trotters, some are push button. It doesn't really matter. You could, doesn't matter what you do, they're going to trot. But a lot of them there, you've got to be on them all the time to keep them in their gait. So I think when you're out there, I've always found this question hard to describe out loud because I feel like on the inside I know what to do, but what I do, I feel like it's hard to explain in words what you do when you're on the track or sitting behind the horse. So for me, I always like to keep my horse happy and calm before he gets to start. Make sure he's in a good position, make sure he's happy as well, and I'm happy. Like I said, it's a hard one to describe that.
Yeah, for sure. It's probably similar for jockeys. It's less about the one difficult technical thing and doing several difficult technical things all at once while also trying to ride your race and finish first. That's what makes it the most difficult.
You guys too, you go. You don't really post parade your horses, right? Most of the time, you go down to the start with the outrider with the pony.
It depends. If I have a young horse who's very flighty, very anxious, I'm going to stay with the pony. The pony's going to keep that horse calm. Also, if a horse is a runoff, just as soon as you turn them loose, especially because they're all amped for the race, they might just go 40 miles an hour right away. And you don't want to blow all the energy. But with the older race horses and horses that I might just know more, I definitely want to turn them loose from the pony, get a sense of their mouth just in my hands, especially if I haven't ridden them before. And, and I can also get a sense for how quick they are in their acceleration. If I am galloping, then I want, get them up in the bridle. I can see how quick their turn of foot is. I can also play around with how good they are at turning. So one thing I really like to do is I'll take them into the chute of the racetrack, which is, just where the gate might be, so it's just this side piece of the racetrack where the oval is in, so I can have a little bit more space there to do circles or figure eights with the horse and just at the trot. And that way I'm warming up their hind end while also getting a feel for their mouth and getting them to respect me as the rider more than just going fast. I don't know if all of that works. Sometimes it just makes me feel better that I'm
100%. Yeah. What about also, we don't have dirt racing back down under at all. It's all turf.
It's all turf. No kidding.
It's all turf, yeah. So kickback on a dirt track, how severe is that on the horse? I've noticed with the dirt racing, you're happy sometimes to sit 3-4 wide and clear air and then sit with the kickback. Is it what is that? How much does it affect the horse with the kickback from the dirt?
It depends on the horse and it depends on the racetrack.
Okay.
Some racetracks, the kickback is very light and powdery, fluffy. I don't know if you've ever skied before, but think about East Coast skiing where it's this wet, sticky snow. You get that. Someone stops in front of you and they shoot snow in your face and that wet, sticky stuff. It's terrible. Versus Colorado skiing where it's this dry powder and it just kind of lightly touches your face, whatever. It's it doesn't bother you at all. So at Parks Racetrack, their dirt can often be heavier, almost abrasive. So even the jockeys, most of us, we wear face shields over our goggles, so it's a thin piece of clear plastic, thick enough that if dirt hits us, it doesn't crack it, kind of bends, but whatever,
Yep.
the horse doesn't have that. So,
Right.
if it is a horse that's never raced, never was even trained with dirt in its face, I have to be conscious of that and do what I can to keep that horse's face as clean as possible, whether that means riding the horse as close to the horse in front of me. That way the dirt is hitting my horse in the chest versus the face.
Yep.
So if I'm like one length behind the horse in front of me, the dirt is hitting the horse in the chest versus 3 lengths behind, it's going to be hitting the horse in the face. Sometimes I can't avoid the dirt, and also to be riding the most strategic race, I want to be able to save ground. I want to be in the pack. Also, if you're a fan of horse racing, especially turf racing, you get horses to settle when they're in behind horses better than you can when they have free running room in front of them.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Like you said, if they don't have dirt in their face, then they might be more calm. I just finished, just second by a neck the other day in a big allowance race with a 50-1 shot, just because he really doesn't like dirt in his face. And we were braking on the outside, and I was able to get him running and moving and into good position on the backside. And because of that, outside post, he didn't have that dirt in his face. He was more comfortable. He was settled in early. And then when I did make my move, the trainer, he did instruct me like, this horse doesn't want to run inside horses. And it was really easy for me to get to the outside because I was already close on the outside. I was only losing a little bit of ground. I did have to lose a little bit more when I angled around the horse at the top of the stretch, but he was happier, he was more comfortable, and he gave me it all. And so even though he was 50-1, he ran as good as he ever has. And, that wasn't necessarily because of me, it was just because of the trip I was able to give the horse.
Yeah, it's good to know.
So I was watching this video earlier of the trotters, and it looked like the driver that was sitting behind a pack, like he was about to make his move, it looked like his horse's head was like nearly touching the rider's head as he was leaning back. Like, have you ever felt like a horse's head touch your helmet as you're driving?
Constantly. Yeah, you always have a horse. Yeah, I mean, there was a race the other night. I looked up and I was looking literally underneath the horse that was following me. Jaw, I could see his whole jaw, throat, everything. Yeah, that's how we race. We are, nose to helm, I guess you could say. So
oh my god,
we drive tight in that way for sure. So, that's just constant basis of getting touched on the helmet, or you got a horse breathing into your ear, literally. Yeah. Can feel it like breathing down your eardrums. So
that's wild.
Yeah, no, it's just normal for us.
That's really cool.
All right, one last question before we put you guys in the hot seat. Since it's your day off today, what does a day off look like for you guys? Dexter, what do you do on a day off?
Nothing. No, I mean, it depends on the day of the week, but a day like today for me was I had to get up this morning, ring judges for changes, which if I had an agent, he would do for me and I could have slept in, but I don't. So I had to talk to a couple of trainers this morning, do some changes at a couple of different tracks, put my rubbish bin out, and then no, just pretty quiet. I got a few jobs to go do this afternoon, but it's good to be able to relax. I think especially for this time of year, I'm sure you guys are the same, but like summertime compared to wintertime is a lot busier for us. A lot more tracks, a lot more traveling. So, if you get a chance to have a day off this time of year, it's good to take advantage of it and just rest up, relax. And, it's almost like a reset, mind and body, I think. So, yeah, relaxing day for me.
Andrew, what are you doing on a day off?
Well, I'm married now, so I have chores. No, we got some family coming in, so I just got to clean up the guest room. But other than that, I'm going to be going rock climbing later. That's, my relaxing pastime. So there's a gym near me that I go rock climbing at. I'll do that for a couple hours. My wife and I were going to go dancing later, maybe go out to eat. So, but I like my time off now. I feel like a few years ago, like I was racing a lot more. And like you were saying, summertime is extremely busy. I remember some weeks where I would be racing 6 days out of the week, and and I wouldn't even have a day off. I would still be training on my one day off, whatever it might have been. Just can get crazy busy. I'm still doing well. I'm still winning races, but I'm riding a lot less now than I used to. For instance, this year I'm probably on track to ride 400 races. 2015, I think I rode 900 races in a year.
Wow.
And that's even not as much as some of the top jockeys in the country. Some of these guys like Irad Ortiz or Paco Lopez, those guys are riding closer to 1,500. And that's even now with racing less popular and less frequent than it used to be. I look at some of these guys who rode years ago who were riding 2,000 races in a year. It's just mind-blowing that they could be that busy and ride that often.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
I have to ask, Andrew, what kind of dancing are you and your wife going to do?
Yeah, I want to know this answer too.
No, we started doing some just dancing for the wedding, just so we could have a dance. And I have 2 left feet, so it's taken a lot of work, but it turned into just a couple hobby for us to do together, and it's been a lot of fun. So
Is it ballroom dancing? Are we salsa, merengue?
I can do salsa a little bit. I'm pretty terrible at it. I'm definitely a white boy when it comes to salsa, but I'm getting better. So maybe one of these days. I'll be posting videos of me winning races on Facebook, not of me dancing. So maybe one day.
I wanted to see you on Dancing with the Stars.
No. We'll leave that to the guys who are a little bit more natural.
All right, we're ready to put you guys in the hot seat. So we're going to ask you some rapid fire questions. You're just going to answer them first thing that comes to your head, and we'll see how well you guys handle it. So first question is, and Andrew, you can answer this one first. If you were a dog, which breed would you be and why?
Probably a Jack Russell Terrier. Yeah, I can see. I'm small, athletic, ferocious when I need to be. Yeah.
I like it. Dex?
Me, I would be choice Rhodesian Ridgeback, I think. Big, good looking, but nice at the same time. I just love Rhodesian Ridgebacks. That's why it comes to my head. I don't know.
I don't think I've ever seen one. I need to Google that.
Yeah, we're going to need to pop that up on the screen so everyone can get official. You're an exotic dog.
I don't know about that, but well, next dog, if I get a dog, I want a Rhodesian Ridgeback.
Are they popular in New Zealand?
Yeah, they're popular in New Zealand. I think they're pretty popular over here too, but they have like the spine, like the hair goes, they've got like a strip down the top of their spine, the hair sort of stands up a little bit. They're big dogs, but very placid at the same time.
Nice.
Cool.
It's like their coats are like silky, almost soft.
Cool.
What do you think your last meal would be if you were on death row? Dexter, you can answer first.
Well, growing up, I always loved my mum's roast, so I'd say my mum's roast, probably roast lamb with all the roast vegetables and gravy and stuff like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew, what's your last meal?
I would die before I could choose. I don't know. That's tough. I could go for some sushi right now. So maybe sushi. I don't know. I love all good food.
All right. Summer Olympics. We're in the thick of the Summer Olympics this summer. So, Dex, do you have a favorite sport in the Olympics, the summer ones, that you enjoy watching?
Well, I love rugby. So the sevens, which is not the full format, but it's a broken down format. I'd probably like to watch that for sure. And obviously cheer for New Zealand because they'll be a good contender in that, getting the gold medal.
Absolutely. Andrew?
Favorite's hard. I just like watching top athletes perform, whether it's, Simone Biles, the best gymnast in the world, or hell, I'll watch ping pong if it's the best 2 ping pong players in the world. It's really cool just to watch the best of the best compete.
They have show jumping in the Olympics, right? Show jumping and dressage and all that. I mean, that'd be good to watch too. Cross country, I like the cross country.
Oh my god! Did you watch Snoop Dogg
with the horse
commentate for the horse dancing? That was hilarious.
I'm doing the dressage. I've seen that.
Yeah, he's doing the crypt walk.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, mate, I'd like to watch that too. I'd definitely be watching the horse activities at the Olympics for sure.
Yeah, they're amazing. Would you rather be a powerful wizard or a legendary ninja?
I'd go powerful wizard, I think.
Same, yeah. Lord of the Rings fan here. So, yeah, powerful wizard, hands down.
My son made up that question, my 11-year-old.
Yeah, it's a good question. I like it.
Yeah.
He picked legendary ninja, so I'll let him know.
Legendary ninja.
All right. So if you had to eat one item of food for an entire month for every meal, what would that meal be?
You're up first this one, Andrew.
Steak.
Yeah, lamb.
I could go for lamb. Lamb sounds good too.
Lamb for breakfast, lamb for lunch, lamb for dinner, lamb for dessert.
Don't really eat breakfast, so,
Yeah, me neither.
lunch, dinner. Yeah.
That makes me
Why
sick
not?
thinking about it.
It's your girl's question.
What was the last book you read? Does anyone read?
I can't remember when I was in school, so I don't know.
Finished? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've started a lot of books recently.
I'm
next
actually
question.
right here. Kieran Reid, Straight 8. So
What
it's
is
a
it?
rugby player. It's a rugby player book. Kieran Reid, he's a famous All Black captain.
I love it.
But like you said, I haven't finished it yet. But I have been reading it off and on.
Nice.
Right.
There we go.
Andrew, what book have you started?
Oh, geez. I don't know. Some silly book about economics that just interests me.
horrible.
I know, right? That's probably why I haven't finished it.
I
Yeah.
was going to say, that's why you didn't finish the books. You're picking bad books.
I know, it's really heavy. It's technical. It's called Broken Money. Yeah, it's like just reminding me of why it's going to be so hard for me to buy a house. Like, yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Oh, that's depressing.
Right. No. I should just reread Harry Potter again, right?
Yeah, that's happy.
There you go.
All right, last question. What subject did you hate the most in high school, Andrew?
Oof. French, because I'm really bad at languages. Now I realize the reason why I hated it so much was because I was an idiot and I should have taken Spanish because everyone I work with is Spanish. So yeah, I just wasted years in French class.
Maths for me. Couldn't do maths. Pretty sure my teacher hated me too. She was mean as hell. I sucked at it, so it was a bad combo. But yeah, mathematics was my least favourite of my subjects. Woodwork and PE were my favourites.
Athletics.
Explains a lot. But I left school when I was 16, so I didn't have to do it for too long.
Andrew, what was your favorite subject in school?
Favorite? I don't know. I was always good at math and science, but probably favorite is still PE. That's at least fun, or like workshop class. Those were fun.
Exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. It's like I'm 36. High school, that's so far away. It's a whole lifetime away.
What was your year you did in college? What were you studying?
I didn't know. Like I said, I was good at math and science.
Studying, partying, having a good time.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I was like wasting my time pretty much. So that's all good. What about you? Did you go to college or whatever it's called?
No,
University?
I left school when I was 16. So.
Oh wow.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. Basically, as soon as it was legal for me to leave, I left and went to Australia for a year and a half. Worked as a grad.
Nice.
Yep.
There you go. Also, just partying, or were you in the? Were you working all the time?
I was working basically all the time, so I still had a lot of fun, of course. But weekends and everyday school holidays, I was at the farm doing horse stuff. Yep.
All right. Well, you guys have survived Hot to Trot. So thank you for being our guests today. We're excited. This was a good interview.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Thank you, ladies.
All right. Well, best of luck.
You too, mate. Great to meet you. Good talk.
Thanks for listening, and thank you to the Standardbred Breeders of Pennsylvania for sponsoring Hot to Trot. We'll see you next time.